The disclaimer. If you are easily offended by mild adult language, such as the S word, the B word, you will be offended. You've been warned. If you're not easily offended by things of this nature, enjoy the story. Except for Garcia's breath, Barton muttered. Stone had no idea who Garcia was, but the joke triggered an involuntary snicker that he immediately tried to suppress. Too late. Squad, halt! The three soldiers stopped in the middle of the causeway, coming instinctively to the position of attention. About face! They all executed perfect turnabouts, as taught in drill and ceremony, D&C, in basic training. The man before them overflowed every inch of his SDUs with sheer, unadulterated muscle. Biceps straining against the rolled-up sleeves. His Sergeant First Class rank insignia shined on his collar tips, competing with his belt buckle for brightest object in the station. Stone suspected that the man skipped leg day a lot. He looked like an angry boulder supported on toothpicks. Sergeant Waldrop, good morning, Porter said. You'll have to forgive Specialist Barton. He hadn't had his morning coffee yet. Sergeant First Class Waldrop leaned into Barton and made a few loud sniffs. The way he's disparaging my beloved Starhawk system, I think he might have been drinking. Oh, I would never do that this early, Sergeant, Barton said. We had to pick up our new boot, but check back with me around 1000. SFC Waldrop ignored Barton and walked around Stone, 360 degrees, looking the new specialist up and down. Stone felt the NCO's stare, peeling back the layers of superficial spit and polish to see just how ate up he felt. A bead of nervous sweat trickled down the back of his neck and into his SDU top. You been on Earth your whole short career so far, Troop? Waldrop asked. Yes, Sergeant, Stone said, trying not to sound too much like he was back in basic training, but with enough enthusiasm in his voice to satisfy the man. He hoped Waldrop wasn't in his immediate chain of command. We'll get your space legs under you in short order, Specialist Stone. Don't you worry about that, Waldrop said, then turned his attention back to Sergeant Porter. You get those adapters we need yet, Porter? Still working on that supply issue, Sergeant, Porter said. We'll get it squared away. See that you do, Waldrop said. You gentlemen carry on. See you back on the Newcastle. Without another word, Waldrop turned on his heel and strode away in perfect 30-inch steps, looking like he'd walked directly out of the Army recruiting holo and into the station. And that, Barton said, clapping Stone on the shoulder, was Sergeant First Class Terence Waldrop, the drip god almighty. Our platoon sergeant, Sergeant Porter added. So much for not being in my immediate chain of command, Stone thought. That would have been too much like right. What did you think? Barton asked. Stone couldn't stop the grin. He's going to have terrible knee problems later in life if he keeps skipping leg day. They made it to the shuttle, stowed Stone's duffel, and strapped in. The pilot gave them a thumbs up after receiving clearance, and soon they were blasting across the system towards the star carrier, Stone's new home for the foreseeable future. From a few thousand clicks away, the Newcastle didn't look like much. Just a massive, bulky engineering section, a long, thick spine with multiple ships connected to hard points along it, capped off with the main hull where the carrier's crew lived and worked. Those 4 ships closest to the engineering section are the individual battery ships? Stone asked. Roger that, Barton replied. Alpha through Delta. They serve as quarters and deployment vessels for the battalion. The battery ships each contain 6 detachable Starhawk missile launchers. Those in turn hold 20 birds apiece. Damn things leave the launchers at a few thousand kps and accelerate from there. The missiles follow the path of a targeting LiDAR beam, Porter added. If the target enemy fighter or ship veers off course suddenly to evade, the warhead detonates, sending a shit ton of tungsten spheres spreading through the space at the speed the missile was traveling at when it went off. It's kind of hard to avoid, Barton finished. Stone thought Barton's earlier assessment was a little off. Those spheres would do quite a bit of damage to a frigate, or any other enemy ship that wandered into their path, not just a starfighter. Stone pulled the chain of command up on his watch, skipping past the battalion commander and his staff to get down to Charlie Battery. He wanted to familiarize himself with his immediate superiors, so he didn't have any more surprises like Drip God Almighty. If he was going to have to deal with higher-ups, he wanted to spot them coming. "I hate to be an echo," Sergeant Porter said to Barton, "but where are we with the procurement of those adapters?" "Sergeant Thomas says that he's not supposed to issue them to us, that it falls on the staff at Hohenfall to issue them." "And of course you reached out to your buddies at the Hohenfall system," Porter said. It wasn't a question. "Roger that," Barton replied. "And they said the opposite, that our supply chain is supposed to issue them." "Because of course they did," Porter said with a sigh. Barton was unconcerned. "No worries, Sergeant. We'll have it worked out before we get to the FTX." "What kind of adapters are you trying to get?" Stone asked, shutting off the holo featuring his new commanding officer, maintenance platoon leader, Lieutenant Richard Shales. "Blank adapters," Barton said. "They're a piece of electronics that we have to stick into the guts of each missile when we're on a training exercise. They shut down all real missile functions and simulate them, interfacing with the ref's systems. When the Hawkers launch a bird at the OPFOR, it simulates that launch and tells the refs if we got a hit or a miss." "Sounds kind of crucial for a training exercise," Stone said. "Not your problem, Boot," Barton said. "Let the professionals handle that while you get settled into the local mafia." "Yeah, looking forward to that, actually," Stone said. "It didn't happen after I got promoted back on Earth. I got shipped out too fast." "No induction ceremony into the mafia?" Barton said in mock horror. "What is this army coming to, Sergeant?" "It's disgraceful," Porter agreed with a nod. "I guess y'all have to fix that." "That's a fact," Barton said, giving Stone a look that was friendly and reassuring, but had a dark lining of foreboding that gave him a shiver. After receiving clearance to approach, the shuttle, which Stone was told belonged to the maintenance platoon and served as their main work vehicle during deployments, eased backwards into an open slot on the exterior hull of Charlie Battery's deployment vessel. The onboard computers guided that process for safety reasons, while Stone watched through the view hatch, fascinated. The Battery's ship didn't have its own official designator aside from C-BTRY, but someone had hand-painted the words "Sorry Hawk" along the side near the cockpit in bright yellow. She consisted of a central hub that contained the main engines and flight deck with small point defense system lasers juking out of the back. Surrounding the hub were the launchers, each a small starship capable of independent spaceflight like the hub, but not hyperspace capable. That was why they needed the carrier to get them from system to system. Once they got the all clear from the pilot, Porter unstrapped and held out a hand. "Welcome to Charlie, Hawkstone. Final formation today is at 1700. Be there, but I don't want to see you until then." "Off to plan this week's sham time?" Barton asked with a twinkle in his eye. "Sergeant's time," Sergeant Porter corrected. "Right. Sham time," Barton countered. "Sergeant's time," Porter said again, louder this time, emphasizing each syllable. Barton suppressed a chuckle. "Yes, Sergeant. As you say, Sergeant.